Let's get a check on the market. CNBC's Rick Santelli joins us now from the CME with more in Chicago. Good morning to you, Rick.
Hi, Andrew.
So what's your sense? What's your sense down there? Post-Christmas, no cliff. The president's on a plane back.
Well, I guess let's start in reverse. First of all, I'm kind of shocked the president's on his way back, to be honest with you. So I think that's a good thing. Maybe we'll get some movement. And, you know, my button's upstairs, so I still keep wearing my button. I'll wear it the rest of the day. But I have to tell you something, Andrew. A lot of interesting things. Did you read some of the op-eds? I know that you mostly, you probably read a different op-ed section than I do.
I read the Journal op-ed section every morning simply because I know that Joe reads it and you read it.
We just read a different one first, that's all. That's what I would say.
Know thine enemy.
Here's what I think. When it comes to just wind subsidies, you know, as much as none of us want to go off the cliff, I think there still does come a point where I don't want to turn into a government strategist, okay? You know, some of our guests, you know, they get to a certain point where their allegiance to a certain ideology trumps common sense. And as bad as a fiscal cliff may be, I think to get so very little coming at it this late in the game, there are certain aspects to it that I think are almost a bit refreshing, like letting things sunset like certain subsidies for wind after all these years. You know, this is at the epicenter of the philosophy of what's different between a for-profit business and a government-run enterprise. And that is, you know, it's hard to fire people. It's hard to close certain lines that don't make money, things that the private sector has to do that it's not proud of or it doesn't like. The government, it's easy. Let's just put it off. It's not their money. They don't feel the same intensity towards, you know, really handicapping whether something is prudent to continue or not. And I think these are things that we need to grapple with. Because if we just have rigid ideologies like under no conditions go over the cliff, that would just become another aspect of that lobby-induced propaganda that I'm so sick of that kind of, you know, reached its crescendo at midnight on November 5th.
Rick, the way that I think future generations, if I were to write an economics book, I would the way that fracking and horizontal drilling, we start with, you know, the notion that, oh, we're running out of oil, it's going to be gone. We need the government to create the next energy industry, and we're going to spend all this money on these renewable things, and it's going to be great. We know how to do this. We've got really smart people. We've got experts. And then a disruptive market-driven technology comes along that generates $2 natural gas, makes all that stuff obsolete, or basically puts it off way into the future, and the money just went down the drain. It's a case study in the way government planning and infrastructure spending is going to be. You're going to get back, you know, you're going to get 10 cents worth of every dollar that you spend, basically. If you're lucky, you get 10 cents. That should be in future books, shouldn't it? Just to show you the way, but we have to learn it again and again and again.
It should. But as your kids get older, and my kids are at that age, it should. But when you start to see some of the schools' syllabus for business classes and marketing classes, what you'll learn, Joe, is making a profit is the last thing any of these classes want to teach. They want to teach about how you should interact.
It's a dirty business. Because you know, there was a time 400 or 500 years ago where when a middleman actually marked something up, that was thought to be a bad thing. You were supposed to have a zero-sum game between a buyer and a seller, and there was a time, but I thought we learned all that. I thought Milton Friedman and Adam Smith and Hayek, I thought we all learned about how the profit incentive works, but we haven't, and we got to learn it every day, again and again and again.
Yeah, but remember something, you know, as we get towards the end of the year and the post-Mayan calendar, there's a lot of great TV on, you know, good channels that, you know, like CNBC at night when you look at some of their post-programming. I guess the long and short of it is this. Over the last couple 150 years, if you look at how man has advanced, even though the thousands of years before that he's gone nowhere, what is the reason why? The reason why is freedom. And if we let the governments pick winners and losers, our freedom keeps getting less and less, and the strategists for the Democrats and the strategists for the Republicans get bigger and bigger, and they're not tethered to reality. They're tethered to repetition. And hopefully people out there listening and watching us will understand you can say things 1,000 times, but it doesn't make them true, correct, or accurate.
Rick, thank you for that.